like to welcome our distinguished panelists and all the participants of this the second webinar organized by Fact Exhibitions and moderated by Pakistan Textile Journal. After the success of the first webinar held last month, Fact Exhibitions Private Limited has taken the initiative to organize the second edition of this series. Let me tell you a little bit about FACT. FACT Exhibitions is headed by Mr. Salim Khan Taroli. He's their president of GPCCI, the German-Pakistan team. And FACT is the leading exhibitions and conferences organizer in Pakistan and specializes in industrial and corporate trade shows with a portfolio of 25 industrial sectors. And it's a UFI approved event organizing company, which are absolutely according to the standards, international standards. And the objective of these webinar sessions is to understand and discuss solutions to the current problems faced by the textile industry of Pakistan. The FACT Exhibitions is providing this platform to the global leaders to discuss the strategies and the ways to deal with these issues which are faced by the industry. My name is Nadeem Mazhar and I'm the publisher and editor of Pakistan Textile Journal. I shall be moderating this event. And Pakistan Textile Journal is the first trade publication of Pakistan, started in 1951 to provide information to our textile industry professionals, and this journey continues. Today's distinguished panels include Mr. Sheikh Shafiq Jokwala. He is the Chief Coordinator of PREGMIA, Pakistan Ready-Made Garments Manufacturers and Exporters Association. And our second speaker is Mr. Karl Box-Schulz. His designation is Managing Director of Consulting Service International Limited, a company, an organization very active in helping the Pakistani textile industry to achieve sustainable goals through a project called Sustainable Pakistan. Mr. Karl Box-Schulz will be giving you more details of that in a short while. Our third speaker is Mr. Saad Ali. He is the General Manager, Strategic Marketing and Product Design and Development of Liberty Mills. Liberty Mills is one of the leading industrial companies of Pakistan. And I'll be talking a little bit more about it, but he will basically be talking about a very interesting project of PPE production, how they are succeeding in these very difficult times. And it's a perfect example of sustainability under very, very difficult situations. So I'm going to start. And I would like to mention here that these sessions are recorded and they are available on the YouTube. And so our first speaker is Mr. Sheikh Shafiq Jokwala. As I mentioned to you a while ago, he's the Chief Coordinator, Southern Zone, PREGMIA, Pakistan Ready-Made Garments Association, and he will be giving you a comprehensive overview of the Pakistan's garment industry and how it is coping with the current crisis. Mr. Jokwala, I would like you to please join.
This session is impact of COVID-19 on textile exporters. Pakistan textile and clothing exports declined 4.5% year on year in March, owing to order cancellation and delays amid coronavirus-led global lockdown. It was only in February when the textile and clothing exporters jumped nearly 17% on a year-on-year basis. This growth was reported a long time, as the past few years had been marred by single-digit increases. Details showed exports of ready-made garments dipped by 2.43 in value and dipped much lower in quantity by 34.83% during March, while those of knitwear dipped 2.63% in value but posted 7.41 growth in quantity. Bedwear posted negative growth of 13.58% in value and 10.78% in quantity. This is the impact of the due to COVID-19. Role of Pygmea during the COVID-19 tenure. Germany luxury fashion brand Hugo Boss has placed its first order of sportswear to a Pakistani company. It was the output of pre-COVID-19 efforts. Hugo Boss. There is a message of Abdul Razak, the Commerce Minister, advisor to Minister. Happy to note that well-known brand Hugo Boss has placed its first order of sportswear to Pakistani company. This achievement was due to the effort of Pygmea for holding the 35th IF Fashion Convention in November last year in Lahore. Congratulations to Ajaz Khokhar and Pygmea. Role of Pygmea during the COVID-19 tenure, a large number of Pygmea members were participating in Digital Global Apparel Sourcing Expo, started from July 15-20. The event was first of kind, which was organized by Pygmea in collaboration with International Apparel Federation IF. Competitive energy pricing. Regionally competitive energy pricing fixed for the 5 years on 1/1/2019 and all inclusive tariff of 7.5 cents kilowatts was fixed for the exporting sectors in order to ensure international competitiveness and enhance the export base. However, a recent letter issued by the Ministry of Energy on 30th January 2020 detailed instruction to dispose of charge all add on to the 7.5 cents, thus increasing the overall electricity price from 7.5% cent to 13 cents kilowatts, a 70% increase. Efforts to facilitate exports and enhance economic growth have been rendered null and void by this illogical government decision. Why change a winning formula? Of zero rationing has created serious liquidity crisis. Abolition of zero rating has created serious liquidity crisis for exporting sectors as the current refund system is soaking up market liquidity and is not working. Textile exporters who earned 60% of total export earning in Pakistan have proposed to the government to restore zero-rated sale tax regime for the 5 major export-oriented sectors: textile, carpet, leather, sports and surgical goods, the restoration of zero rating would help revive exports and urge the much needed foreign exchange, keeping in view the projected contraction in the national economy, which is expected to shrink for the first time in 68 years due to COVID-19. The PTI government merged the Ministry of Textile with the Ministry of Commerce last year. It has been proposed to the government to de-merge textile and make it a standalone ministry, keeping in view the importance of the textile industry. In the absence of the dedicated Ministry of Textile, major policy decisions and initiatives could not be taken. Development of specialized economic zone. In a major development recently approved March 2020 textile policy 20 to 25, under which the textile exports will be jacked up to $28 billion in 5 years' time by 2025. To achieve the target of $28 billion textile exports, cotton production in the country will be enhanced to make availability from 9 million bales to 20 million bales within 5 years. Under the textile policy, formation of specialized economic zone will be ensured to accelerate export for providing plug and play facilitate, especially for garmenting units. Pakistan is one of the few countries having a complete textile value chain from farm to fashion, and the textile sector is the biggest employment generator, especially garments. It mentioned that the global market for textile export is dominated by China, having 32% share of textile trade, that is US dollar 302 billion. Pakistan's share is 1.6% in the global textile trade, which is targeted for 3% over the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheikh Shafiq Saab. It has been a very good, informative presentation about the garment sector, about the textile industry, and the issues that is faced by that. One thing I would like to add is that in the June of 2019, our exports have really shown a great increase, and the total decrease, which was about 65%, for the whole of year, it has only now 6.84, and our exports have remarkably improved and shown a growth once again. Thank you very much, Mr. Shershav. I would like to now invite Mr. Karl Burg-Schulz. He's the Managing Director of Consulting Service International, and to enlighten us about your project on sustainable Pakistan. And please tell us a little bit about what you are doing in Pakistan and how your company and you are helping our industry attain these sustainable goals, and who are your partners in Pakistan who are working closely with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Karl Burg-Schulz.
Yes, thank you very much altogether for inviting me and having me. And I'm really excited so that we are still able really to work these days under very complicated situations. Myself, I was born in Germany and be in the area of sustainability since 1985. So you can count me as one of the pioneers of the entire topic in Germany. I'm engaged in Pakistan since 2002, and I really enjoy coming and working there. At the moment, of course, it's unfortunately not really possible. So our headquarters is here at Hong Kong. We have already for many years an office in Dhaka as well, but we are very active with our office in Lahore as well. And I always enjoy to coming to Karachi. So we have been engaged in developing pretty much all of the environmental and social compliance standards over the last 20, 30 years, and are working with mostly European, German brands and retailers. You mentioned already one company, SPOS. We have been working already 10, 15 years back in several projects, setting up their compliance team at that time. Right now, in the last couple of years, I'm really happy that I had the chance to develop one project called Sustainable Pakistan, which is really a long-term commitment from our side. And I would like to give you some background information about that. So can you see the screen now? Hello? Escape just.
Yeah, let me share your screen now. Sure. Okay. Mr. Khan, I have your presentation on the screen.
Okay. Okay. So then that is working. So yeah, Sustainable Pakistan. The idea behind that, and it's an idea already I came up with quite some years ago, is I see a lot of potential in Pakistan. You mentioned already some points. We have the entire cotton supply chain. We have a tremendous, strong and large workforce, which, for example, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Myanmar are not having. We have space, which is something very important, which, for example, Bangladesh does not really have. So there is a lot of possibilities. And like you mentioned earlier, right now, the share in China is quite big, but we could do much better in Pakistan. And one of the reasons is that, of course, due to historical reasons, the reputation of the market is not so good. So we can do much better than a lot of people having in mind. And that was the core of setting up with different partners and organizations. Yes, thank you. We can go to the next slide already. Yeah, thank you. So to design the concept for Sustainable Pakistan, and that is based on 4 aspects. Number 1 is sustainability. We have sustainable suppliers, meaning social compliant as well as environmental compliant. We have huge potential and already a lot of starting points for innovation. And that is an area where I can see huge developments in the years to come. At the moment, cotton on the one side is our advantage, but at the same time a disadvantage because it keeps us a little bit away from going into innovative new fibers and synthetic materials, where I see a huge potential, especially as I know a lot of customers who are searching for alternatives because they want to shift out of China, for example, with highly functional jackets. And we already made some very successful test runs. Another aspect which is very important is communication, because the entire sourcing is changing, the world is changing, and COVID-19 is just an accelerator right now. The process has already started years back. The sales world is changing thanks to Amazon, thanks to all these internet platforms, social media. So today, the world has become one global village, and whatever happens in a factory in Pakistan or Bangladesh, within 5 minutes, you can spread the news all over the world, like we have seen it as well with the bad stories we were facing in the last years. Ali Enterprise, Rana Plaza, so these stories have become part of the global mindset, and we have to work on that. So communication is there, and the target we are having, and where I think we have been very successful already, is to turn all that into strong aspects to promote Pakistan and the supplier pool we are working with. So in the area of sustainability, we have already set up a pool, a core pool of 20-25 factories along the supply chain. And one is important aspect where I do things different as well than others. I talk about the fashion industry. I don't care anymore if it is a home textile, a garment, or a shoe, because if you go to the sales, to the point of sales, to the shop, it's all fashion. It's all under one roof. And the good thing is we have all that in Pakistan. We can be much, much more stronger in the shoe market as well. And don't forget that when we talk about shoes, we talk pretty much about textile product today. Leather is only one small part of the global business. The shoe has become a textile product. So we have that in mind as well. So we have sustainable companies. What we have then done is that we were working really about the communication. We have a lot of stories to tell about all our partners. We make videos, we make photos, we write stories, we make interviews with the owners, with workers. So that are all stories which can be used in today's communication, and all that is based on an innovative software solution we have developed. We work with sustainable performance indicators so that we are able to fulfill all the requirements of international buyers, especially if they are stock market listed in regard of sustainable development goals. And a company like Boss, for example, today expects a lot more than just getting a garment. They need a lot of information. They need a lot of proper documentation to cover their liabilities. And they want to know about the entire supply chain. They want to know about the CO2 footprint. They want to know what is going on with the water. So all that are important aspects. And, working over these many years in a lot of different markets, I must say that right now, I think this overall situation in Pakistan is the most convenient one. And that is as well why we have chosen to really focus on Pakistan. We have the entire supply chains, we get all the information, and we find the right partners. And I can just show you here a simple example with one of our partners, Intermarket, a sock manufacturer in Lahore. We have the transparency about the entire supply chain, which is available. We have videos about them. We have 3D images available. We have all the certifications and qualifications. We have trained the staff. So we have a complete story to tell, and I'm able, whenever necessary, I could go there tomorrow with a German or American TV team and show them how the sock is being done. And that is part of the story we are selling to the international brands and retailers. Please go to the, yeah. So for innovation, on the one side, we are really working with new materials. We have been pretty much the first ones who brought the new castor oil-based nylon materials, the Evo yarns, to Pakistan. There were only one company in Italy who was already working with this. So again, that is a story nobody expects. When you think about Pakistan, you don't think about innovation and seeing the first time something really new, but it is possible and we can do it. And in the area of footwear, what we did is we connected one of our partners, Dada, a tannery in Lahore, with the Mode Europe network. So we have now connected Pakistan supply chain partners with the latest design trends. So we have all information about the color trends for already winter 21. We already have it in the market and we can work with this, which again is an advantage to pushing ahead. And of course, these color information will be used for our fashion partners as well. So it's about an integrated aspect to really get things together, because in future, and especially after the COVID-19 time, it is not anymore about just selling a garment, a home textile, a bedsheet or so. You have to sell a concept with complete solutions, which is in line with all these latest regulatory requirements from the international buyers as well. Here you can see one example which we have developed, and this is really a sustainable, innovative sock with the castor oil-based nylon material. We are very strong with recycled materials in Pakistan. We have a water footprint, we have a carbon footprint. Nobody else is able right now to deliver all this. And again, we have all the background information. So, and that is what we are doing with all our partners. We have presented the concept already last year on the Munich Fabric Start. We had been partner with our partner, Messe Frankfurt, a very exclusive special show going on at Heim Textile this year. And later today, we will be one of the core partners of the Tex World in New York, which is a digital show this year. And Sustainable Pakistan is one of the core partners, and our team is ready. And let's see what will happen. The world will go in different ways. Of course, we, as you see now, we focus very strongly on denims as well, where we combine different strategies. So it's a very broad approach. And we are very confident that with a partner network and an expanding partner network in Pakistan, we can really deliver solutions to the global fashion industry, which nobody right now expects, and we can be way ahead of other markets and supply chains. So that is pretty much what I would like to tell you. You see, for example, here's one shoe, which is a very exclusive high-end deerskin sneaker, which you, in this way, with this transparency and all information, you will not get anywhere else. We have the innovative socks, we have the high-end denims. So that is what we are doing, and I'm really looking forward to push this ahead, and I'm really waiting when I will be able to come back to Karachi and Lahore, which right now is a little bit complicated, but I was supposed to be there already right after Ramadan, but unfortunately it's not possible at the moment, but I'm really looking forward. So thank you very much for listening.
Most welcome. Mr. Karl, can you also, you mentioned to me a conference that you're going to.
Yes, we will. We are right now preparing. So the original plan was to have in September a bigger conference in Lahore. We had already a very nice one last year with more than almost 400 people from the industry. And so the plan was to make a Sustainable Pakistan conference in September, October in Lahore. Right now, this is not possible. On the other side, maybe we can do it even bigger. So on 17th of September now, we will work and prepare a digital conference. And now being digital, it is not just that we go into the Pakistani market, we will as well directly target the European market. And we have already a bunch of really high-level speakers, mostly associations, because we will turn this into an ongoing event, and we have a broad number of buyers who will participate as well and tell exactly what they are looking for. And the good news is that even today, we are in contact with some buyers who have doubled their turnover and sales volume at the moment, because they are lucky to have the right product. So anything related to home textile, nightwear, even socks, some buyers are really doing well. And because the people are all sitting at home, they buy even more stuff than before. We will have the president of the German Footwear Association, Mr. Junkert, who is as well, has been as well many, many years, one of the managing director of Textile and Mode, which is the organization for all the other German textile and apparel associations. So he is extremely connected. We will have Max Textile, which is the association for institutional products in Europe, and a lot of other ones. And I will be very happy to share all this with you in the coming weeks when the final program is ready.
Please share with us so that we can disseminate it.
Of course,
And
mostly welcome.
all the participants that all these presentations are being recorded and are available on the YouTube channel. The link I will show you at the end of this session. The next speaker is Mr. Saad Ali, who is the GM Strategic Marketing and Product Design and Development. He is working on a very special project, and this was when our Chroma Pakistan joins hand with Liberty, if I can show you this. And they are, Liberty Mills is already a leading producer in healthcare textiles, and they are joining hands with our Chroma to produce personal protective equipment in Pakistan. And this is a project which is a clear example of how our industry can achieve sustainability and to survive and even thrive. So I would be very pleased if you would share your experience and this with you. Do you have a presentation, Mr. Saad?
Yeah, sure, Nadeem Saab. First of all, thank you very much for giving Liberty a seat on this webinar panelist. And we are really excited to share our journey on the PPE development with all of the attendees and the panelists. It was really great to hear all of the valued panelists and their knowledge and expertise, especially Mr. Carl, and who is spending so much of his energies and time on making Pakistan's brand image as a sustainable Pakistan, which is definitely really great of you, Carl. Thank you so much. So I think Pakistan is right now standing at a pinnacle, or I can say at the door of a really big and huge opportunity in the market that has arisen as part of the pandemic. And I think since we saw that there was a global shortage of personal protective equipment that came out as a result of the recent pandemic. And ultimately, the Western countries, they started to look towards their usual supply partners, which were the Far East and the Southeast Asian markets. The garment industry at the same time went into a slump because of the shrinking demand due to the pandemic, due to the lockdowns that started happening in the Europe and the US. Ultimately, there was in that situation, the countries, the Far Eastern countries, especially Indonesia, Vietnam, China, those countries, since they did not have a lot of production for the garments in place, they quickly moved towards manufacturing of PPEs. And they started supplying PPEs from their end, which was definitely not a equation of value for them, because their supply chains were not equipped for it. So since the time when the markets started reopening and the lockdowns started easing up, those countries have started to shift back towards manufacturing of apparels, fashion apparels, and basic garments, which gives Pakistan a very unique opportunity, is to take advantage of that supply gap, which has now taken place since those countries have started moving back towards producing the fashionable apparels. So Pakistan has a really great opportunity in terms of tapping on the current PPE market and gearing up the supply chains and starting exporting PPEs to the European and the US market. We are seeing a really different profile of this virus. Everybody thought that the virus is diminishing in the world, but countries like US and then other countries, I was just going through a news clip from New York Times today morning, and I was surprised to note that since a lot of we thought that a lot of countries have controlled this virus, but at the same time there are other countries who are seeing a second peak of this virus. So this all means that there is going to be a sustained demand of PPEs in the coming future. It is really important, not only from a business perspective, but from a community and from an environmental perspective also, that PPEs are supplied to the countries who are battling with COVID-19 pandemic in adequate amounts and with the needed standards, so that those countries' frontline medical workers, they are least exposed to this dangerous virus. At the same time, the other focus for the PPE manufacturers has to be towards the fact that we cannot rely on the disposable PPEs for so long, because disposable PPEs have a lot of chance for environmental degradation. They create a lot of wastages. They create a lot of landfills, which are definitely much more hazardous to environment that we can imagine. We cannot see the impacts right now, but in the next 5 or 10 years, these disposable PPEs, if those are masks, if those are coverall suits, if those are the isolation gowns, those are all going to pose a really heavy impact to the environment, because majority of these disposable PPEs are manufactured using polyester fibers, which are not going to be environmentally degradable easily. So the reusable PPEs need a lot of attention. And when I say reusable, it means that working with fabrics like CVC fabrics, polycotton fabrics, microfiber fabrics, or similar fabrics that can ultimately give adequate amount of laundering procedures, safety, plus the hospitals or the medical facilities don't need to change them very frequently. So keeping all of this in perspective, this whole opportunity and this whole need of the time, Liberty Mills entered into a strategic partnership with Acroma, which is a leading supplier of specialty chemicals and chemical technologies to the Pakistan textile market. And it's a very unique partnership in which both of these companies have, we basically tap on each other's strength. Acroma's strength is definitely in cutting edge chemical technology. Their strength comes in their strong testing expertise, their global linkages with experts in all around the world, and ultimately their thorough understanding of the chemical technologies. And on the other hand, Liberty Mills, has a history of best-in-class partnerships in North American market and in the oceanic region for medical textile supplies. Liberty, our business mix is very uniquely positioned because 30 to 35% of our current market share is from the medical textiles. So having said that, I would just like to share my screen to give you all an overview of Liberty Mills.
Okay.
So as a company, we were established back in 1964. So this gives us roughly a history of more than 50 years, 5 decades in textile manufacturing. Our total turnover as a company is in excess of $200 million US, which gives us a really solid footing into driving supply chains. And again, being known as a really significant contributor to the Pakistan export landscape. Our main products are definitely medical textiles that we lead with, because as I told you, approximately 30 to 35% of our business total business is in medical textiles. We have some really good exclusive partnerships in the major markets. The second thing is that we are also producer of apparel fabrics, and our expertise in apparel fabrics goes back at least 2 decades. We are currently one of the few chosen suppliers for leading brands and retailers in US and Europe for apparel fabrics. And our processing and fabric expertise, we have a completely dedicated processing setup for the narrow bed apparel fabrics, which again complements back to the production of PPEs, because when it comes down to water repellency, or when it comes down to a different kind of specialty finishes, it gives us an edge to produce apparel fabrics with the same technologies adopted in medical textiles, and it gives us a great authority in terms of medical textiles manufacturing. Our third division, which is home textiles, is again it's part of our second division, the third division of our business, which through which we currently supply to leading retailers of the US market. And in that whole division, we are currently experts in manufacturing wider width fabrics and brush fabrics and a lot of different specialty fabrics for our retailers and customers. So in all of that scenario, we feel that our production capacity is in excess of 90 million meters right now. And our strengths come from healthcare textiles, definitely, as I told you. And because we have exclusive partnerships in North America and Oceanic regions. Printing is, again, one of our biggest strengths. And we have one of the biggest printing capacity in the region right now. Our brushing capacity is again one of the biggest in the region, and then all of this is backed up with a really strengthened testing facility, which is our lab. And since the inception of our businesses, we have invested strategically into our lab, which has equipped us to the fact that we can now test chemicals, we can now test fabrics, we can now test ready-made products, and a wide variety of materials. So this all puts us into a really good position to add value to this PPE's partnership. Our biggest partnership in the US is with Medline, which is again a leading importer and distributor of healthcare products to the US market. Then in the Oceanic region, our partnership is with Simba Global, which is again a leading distributor and importer of healthcare products for the Oceanic market. In terms of our sustainability initiatives, we are our focus, the leadership's focus has always been on being a sustainable company. And that's why we have taken a two-pronged approach always for our, when we come down to sustainability. Our first approach is definitely towards CSR. And in terms of CSR, Liberty is proud to contribute to more than 2 million underprivileged people of Pakistan every year. We do that through our healthcare facilities, we do that through our nutrition facilities, through education, and through skill development of people that we regularly do. Then in terms of when we come down towards the environmental side of sustainability, our factory is powered by one of the biggest solar power plant in the industry, and it contributes to more than 30% of our energy requirements on everyday basis. Then we have a really good state-of-the-art ETP plant, which is able to recycle more than 50% of the wastewater, and then we can reuse in our other processes. I would also not hesitate to mention here that, as Carl mentioned about recycling, we are one of the few home textile companies in Pakistan who have a true commitment to recycling. And due to that commitment, we are currently we have currently launched a complete range of recycled textiles for the global markets. And luckily, We have been getting a lot of positive traction from the European retailers on that, and a lot of positive traction again on the US side of the business. So that is a brief overview of Liberty Mills. Now coming back to our partnership with Acroma, as I told you, this is a really great partnership in which two giants have shaken the hands on this important initiative. And our early successes, if I talk about some of the early successes in this partnership, the biggest success that we have been able to make is development of level 1, level 2, and level 3 double AMI compliant isolation gowns for the US market. And the biggest aspect of this partnership is that we too are not the only companies in this. We have the support from National Textile University, which has one of the best testing facilities in Pakistan, and they have a state-of-the-art lab which allows us to experiment and to R&D on different kind of fabrics, different kind of finishes. Because let me tell you that Pakistan had zero PPE expertise if we go back to the month of March. The journey began from the month of March, and from March to the month of July, we are really proud to say that Pakistan is able to manufacture level 1, level 2, and level 3 compliant PPEs for the global markets. So in this short span of time, it has definitely come together due to the partnerships that these companies have made together. The other aspect is that we are also working towards a disposable range of PPEs, but that's not a priority. As a priority, we have taken up the reusable range, but disposable range is also not out of our radar. Again, when it comes down to disposable PPEs, we have to be cognizant of the fact that disposable PPEs are manufactured using fabrics that are not Pakistani strength. And a majority of those fabrics have to be imported from markets like China, from Far East. Again, I'm proud to say that in this journey, I met a couple of really young entrepreneurs who came down to our factory, and they have, in a very quick span of time, they have started manufacturing disposable PPE fabrics in Pakistan. They have put together setups. They are coating those fabrics. They are experimenting with newer and newer coating technologies like breathable coating technologies, acrylic coating technologies, PU coating technologies, and they are equally excited to contribute to this great initiative that Pakistan has embarked upon. So definitely, I see it happening in near future that disposable PPEs will also become one of the core strengths for Pakistan, and Pakistan will have an adequate supply chain for that. So having said that, I would also like to outline some of the learnings that we have made and we are continuing to make during this journey of PPE's development. And those learnings revolve around the fact that there is a need of a continuous R&D, research and development culture in our industry. And that R&D culture has to be driven from the top. And by top, I mean that it has to be encouraged by the government. It has to be encouraged by the entrepreneurs, and it has to be encouraged by the educational institutions. Because right now, when as a matter of fact, if I tell you, when we started developing PPEs, and I had one of my team member who are dedicated on this project, when we were developing some of the initial samples, he came down to me and he asked, Saad, what if the testing fails? So I asked that if testing fails, it means that we have to revisit, we have to re-engineer the product. He said, but what about the cost? Because if testing would fail, it would incur a huge amount of cost. And on that, I, as a leader, had to give him the confidence that he had the necessary cost, he had the necessary finances, He had the necessary privileges so that he can experiment, he can test, try and fail on different kind of products. So, and then I talked to a lot of manufacturers, and all of those manufacturers and people and my colleagues in the industry, they were also the same fact that people are afraid of testing and failing in our society. Because we have been trained in a way in this textile industry over the years, the kind of business that we have always done is about being we cannot fail. We have to just follow the customer specs and give them a product that does not fail. So this PPE journey is definitely teaching Pakistan industry that there is a room for testing and failure. There is a room when you experiment with different things. There is a room when you there is definitely and I'm really excited to see how young people in the industry are able to share their knowledge, their expertise, and go after developing really great PPE products for the global markets. So this was one of the core learning. The other learning that I feel that we have made during this journey is collaboration. And I think collaboration. I think to me, the biggest message that I took from collaboration is accepting the fact and going towards a person and telling him that I cannot solve this problem. I need your help. And I think the kind of culture that we have seen over the past in our industry, in our country, is that we tend to be really modest about the fact when we have to accept that I don't know this subject and I want to learn from you. So I think collaboration is again one of the biggest learnings that we have seen in this. Without collaboration, we could not have achieved what we have achieved today. So in terms of collaboration, I would encourage all of the listeners, all of the people who are on this panel right now, that please we should be really confident in accepting that we don't know this. We don't know this thing. We need to learn, and we have to be accepting. We should accept this fact. So these are a few of the learnings, and overall a really exciting journey. And we are definitely hopeful that we would be able to make bigger and bigger impacts for Pakistan.
Thank you very much. And there are a few questions, quite a few questions, in fact, about your presentation. If you can see, what is the PPE? What countries are importing from us? There's a question there. If you can.
Yeah. So Nadeem sir, in terms of importing of the countries, basically UK and the US are the biggest importers right now. And then there is traction from European countries also, and then some of the oceanic market. But US is definitely leading the race when it comes down to imports of the PPEs. So US is definitely has the lion's share right now.
Okay. And you have mentioned that you are developing with local collaborators different finishes and different products in the R&D. Can you give us an example of that? You said about things and things which are required for PPE.
Yeah. So basically, it's a pretty technical topic when it comes down to PPEs, and I would encourage the listeners, if they have interest in PPEs development and what PPEs are about, they first you need to understand that what are the labels of PPEs. And by label, I mean that currently globally there are two leading agencies in the world who provide standards and who provide guidance for PPEs development. The first and the foremost is AAMI, which is American Association for Medical Institution. And AAMI provides a really clear different level guideline. What is level 1 PPE, what is level 2 PPE, what is level 3. As per each level, you need to develop a different kind of fabrication and a different kind of, you need to pass different kind of testings. So for example, I would just tell you that the basic requirement of a PPE is for it to act as a barrier against liquids. This is the basic requirement of a PPE. So when we talk about being barrier against the liquids, it means that it needs to have water repellency into it. Now, water repellency levels are tested by using different methods. Okay, so now when you're doing R&D on the fabrics, or when you're engineering a PPE, you need to understand that what kind of water repellency technology would actually suffice your need for specific levels of PPEs. So, for example, a regular water repellent finishing application may service your level 1 PPE, but it may fail for level 2 PPE. So, and then only water repellency finish may not work for your level 3 PPEs. Because your level 3 PPE will undergo a really rigorous pressure testing, which cannot be withheld by a regular water repellency technology. So it's definitely, once you study your testing requirements according to the different AAMI levels, you start understanding that what kind of finishing properties you would need on the fabrics.
Do you think this can be applied to other industries and other and can be inspired to follow your lead with these? And we'll be happy to share this information with our participants as well as our readers of Pakistan Textile Journal in more details in the coming months. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There are a few questions, Mr. Khan, if we can have. What is your prognosis? What do you see the future, the exports in view of this new diversification of PPE, for example, which is taking place, and which a good example has been given by Liberty Mills. Do you think more industries should follow this lead and to be successful? And what is your impression with your experience? Your mic is off.
Well, what I really liked was the overall approach Mr. Saad has described, because this is exactly the mindset you need to stay within this development. Because right now, of course, PPE is a good chance to grab a business while other products are not selling so well, but that is something which will end maybe in a year, maybe in two. So what we really need for the long-term perspective, and we have to think in 10, 20 years, is exactly this mindset, and to understand that this is a never-ending story. So right now, yes, we can still grab some more business. What I see, of course, as well, that in different markets, of course, people work on similar things. So there will be a huge price competition for PPEs as well. And maybe by end of the year, we might have some kind of oversupply as well. But again, if you are ahead of the pack, that is very helpful. And what I was really excited to hear as well is that you are already working on all these different coating technologies, because that is something which in general we need. And if the PPE now is a starting point to set up structures and developments to move ahead with coatings in general, that will be very, very helpful for the industry. Because then we talk about the long-term, much, much bigger market like functional garments, all these breathable coatings, rain jackets and stuff like that, which at the moment is completely dominated by China. So this technology transfer can be very helpful and can be a booster for the overall development of the industry. And I personally think that in the long term, we should really be able to supply the global markets with high-end value-added products. And medical stuff is definitely a good starting point, but I think we can go way ahead of that. And I'm sure that companies like Liberty will take the lead in this area.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Participants to visit the YouTube channel, which you will see on the screen. You can share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can listen to this in more. And then we will share with all the participants these presentations for your further reference. This brings our session to a conclusion, and I would like to thank all the panelists and other participants for joining us, and especially exhibitions for organizing this session. Mr. Saad, your valuable contribution towards PPE that you highlighted, I'm sure it will inspire many more companies. Mr. Kal, your continued efforts to make Pakistan more sustainable are very commendable, and we look forward to more stories and success stories as a result of your efforts and your training. And Mr. Sheikh Shafi from Pregmia. Pregmia is our leading garment association representing one of the biggest growing sectors, export sectors of Pakistan, and we hope that all the exporters from the garment sectors also diversify into these new areas to be successful. The good news is that already our industry has bounced back, and the exports target, which was supposed to be way less than 20 billion, is already exceeded that, and it's 21 billion already. The final figures show from 2019 and 20. So in the last couple of months, I think we have remarkably recovered from the setback of COVID, and with the new venues and areas such as Liberty Mills, I think there's a good future ahead of us. And thank you again for the panelists and all the participants for being with us for this informative session. And we shall continue to hold these sessions in the future as well, with more current and relevant topics. Salim, would you like to say something to conclude?
You already thanked you all. All I say that thank you so much for joining us. A special thanks to Mr. Coker, Jas Coker, ex-chairman from Pregmia. He joined us as attendees. And thank you, Coker sir, the man behind Hugo Boss, orders to Pakistan. And Mr. Saad, your presentation was really eye-opening, and that is the need of the hour. And we are very glad to know that the companies like Liberty, they are working this much hard. And Mr. Kal, thank you so much for working on sustainability, sustainable Pakistan. And I hope that all the audience they have enjoyed our presentation. And thank you so much. Over to you, Nadeem sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody, as well. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the day and stay safe.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.